Megan
here.
Megan, that's my swimsuit. I'm Mark Hoffmeyer.
Still alive.
Cowabunga.
3 years later, you're in Italy and you're vacationing, and you just see me at a coffee shop with Megan drinking coffee.
That's right. And I lift my glass and I nod to you and just walk away. Exactly, with my newspaper, even though I cannot read Italian.
Did Mark survive the apocalypse in Alaska and the Transformers and the tidal wave?
How did he do that again? This guy's crazy. And then one of the greatest lines of all time, okay, in this movie, because so they're fighting the vampires with shark teeth and non-manicured Lee press-on nails, right?
Yeah.
And you shoot them and they don't fall down. It must be coked up on PCP. Dude, you realize those are two different drugs, right? What are you talking about? You can't be coked up on PCP. You're either on PCP or you're on coke. You could technically do both, but what is the deal? And that is that guy clearly learned about drugs from the DARE program and Nancy Reagan. It's really funny.
Or maybe he knows too much about it and we don't know.
Listen, they are in Alaska. They're clearly people who are either oil workers or ancillary businesses that the oil workers have allowed to sprout up. So, maybe he is the coke dealer on PCP.
I guess coked up could be just used as a term. You're all jacked up. You're all excited. Like, that dude's acting like he's coked up.
But you are a better writer, so you would say he's jacked up on PCP or he's coked up, like almost on PCP. This guy's, he's coked up. They're like coked up on PCP. And also PCP. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, you're right. What is the deal with PCP?
That's you in Alaska. Coming up next on Mark Hoffmeyer in Alaska. Coked up on PCP. What's the deal?
I've ran 6 miles. And
I ran across the ocean like the Flash.
Like Incredibles. The nice thing about coke is you don't go, he's all coked up on cocaine. You can just say he's all coked up.
Exactly. Like, yeah.
You don't go he's drunk on beer. He's drunk.
It is a noun that works as an adjective. That's correct.
Now I have a question for you. How strong are these vampires? Because they flip an SUV.
Well, for what it's worth, it took about 7 of them to flip over an SUV. So they're stronger than the average bear.
Yeah.
But I would say, yeah, they're strong. But they're not. It doesn't seem like they're that strong. But for what it's worth, Josh Hartnett is able to put his fist through the face of Marlowe.
Oh, it's beautiful. And also, I wish I could see the footage of the first vampire who grabbed onto the back of the truck, because he's skiing on the back of it. He's grabbing on the back, just either being dragged or skiing behind a thing until the other ones catch up.
We call that skitching. When you're wearing inline skates and you grab on the back of a car, it's called skitching. Electronic Arts made an excellent Sega Genesis game about this.
Isn't that a cult classic from the 80s too, skitching?
It's such a dope game, yeah. And probably people in California were like, dude, I'm going to grab on the back of this car on the 109.
One time in Alaska, I skitched on a grizzly bear that was charging through the streets.
This is Mark Hoffmeyer. I'm skitching on a grizzly bear. Holy cow, what's that coming out of his face?
And also, how much did you love the scene where Marlowe puts his finger on the record? It's just mean, and it's a good touch when you just start scraping that thing. I loved it.
Listen, Marlowe is a sadist, but he likes his German leaders, So he absolutely had to listen to while his girlfriend is drinking the blood of the innocent to his left. It was an amazing scene, absolutely. And then they're,
oh, man. How much does Marlowe hate Eben?
Marlowe hates Eben because Eben stands for everything that is pure and just, And Marlowe, he points out, the girl, please help me, God. He's like, he makes a point to stop, look around up in the air and be like, no, God. Yeah. It's the only time he speaks English. It just shows you what a depraved individual he is. He's the guy who goes on the internet to troll Christians like, oh, did you notice that this part of the Bible actually says you shouldn't eat shrimp and shellfish, but you photographed yourself at a lobster party? Ha! You're not a Christian. He's that guy. He's
an absolutist where it looks like his partner is burnt. He's like, what's broke must be stay broken.
Yeah.
He's not playing. He sees that they got cocky. But man, does he hate or respect Eben? Because at the end he says the one who fights. Do you think that, the guy's pure evil and he's a sadist, but do you think there's a little bit of, I hate that guy.
Well, you get a bit of that Thanos, the laws of nature, survival of the fittest, because those type of sociopaths always feel that they have some kind of quote unquote code, So if you can defeat me in Mortal Kombat, then you deserve to be the leader. Yeah, I feel like that's where that went.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. I kind of, and I like the one who fights. I like that the fight happened like that, and I don't know. Danny Houston, he was the first choice for the role, and they went to a voice coach in New Zealand, and they actually sort of figured out the voices and kind of all that. No, I want to get your thought on one thing. In this movie, you do a great job establishing the characters. Then you have the initial attack, and then you have the survival mode. But then it cuts to day 18, and these people are just sitting in this balcony. Do you think there's a little bit of sludge? Not sludge. Do you think it's do you think instead of an hour and 53 minutes, this could be an hour and 48 minutes? Do you think the stuff where they were wandering around the town is a little dragged out? Does it feel like 30 days to you?
No, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, Niles, the writer of the original comic, he was clearly going for Night of the Living Dead here, and that kind of thing. Actually, that's kind of the low point of the movie because, there is we do get kind of slightly fleshed out characters, but they're not that deep where you want to sit and listen to all of them talk. So they take that time to give you a little bit more window into why Eben and Stella, they're not together anymore. That's where you get the whole, oh man, imagine having kids at this moment. You get a dude who let the oil spill all over the street. He's still very individualism guy. He wants to just leave because anything can be killed. I can kill anything. You get Alzheimer's dad being Alzheimer's dad, setting up that, okay, this guy's clearly going to leave and screw up everything. So yeah, it kind of flattens out there, but it's good. It's good because the actors, they do what they can with the material that they're given. So it's still a good scene.
And also it's a $30 million budget movie. You gotta have a bottle episode. Every TV show movie, you gotta have downtime. You can't run. You can't be, you need scenes where there's no fake snow. You need scenes on a studio. You gotta just be able to shoot. So I guess as far as the narrative goes, it's a budget saver, and then you also get some. And you also learn that these vampires play tricks. They send people out, and if that trick doesn't work, they kill them. There's problems that will arise. There's power struggles. There's, like you said, the father with Alzheimer's. And then it gets pretty heart-wrenching. I guess it's on the nose, but I like the speech. The guy gets scratched, and he says, "I want to see my family. I can't live forever." And then Eben kills him. And then you get to. I love that speech. And then you get to Manu Bennett, who killed his family, and he's like,
"Oh my God!"
And Manu Bennett, he was in the Spartacus show with Rob Tappert. He was just that, and he was also the big ogre in the Hobbit franchise. And on set, he begged to not be the character who killed his family. And Tappert's like, "No, you're killing your family." But
it's dark.
So you have a guy who doesn't want to live forever because he won't be with his family. Then you have another guy who kills his family, and then at the end, Hartnett sacrifices himself to save his wife and the little girl.
Right.
It's a real, and then you also have the vampire family when Marlowe loses, his partner and says what can be broken must be broken. He's hurt. He's pissed. They're a unit. So it's a pretty interesting
dude. He's a sociopathic vampire sadist. He mourns the loss of that chick to the point where he wipes her blood in his hair, man, as some kind of excellent new gel to work in the snow. It's just sick.
I never saw that part. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. It's dark. It's dark, man. He's a dark guy. He sits with her for a while, and then he's like, okay, let's burn the place down.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good idea that they're just gonna. But I'm sure Forensic could see that an oil pipeline was punched in all over the place.
Well, you know what? He made a point of saying we have spent a long time convincing these people that we are just myth.
Yeah.
Let's burn it down. And you're like, you know what? Holy cow. That makes a lot of sense. It's so much better than True Blood, which really disappointed me. True Blood.
Yeah.
I wanted more of the vampire politics, but it was just I never read those books, so I didn't know that Suke was supposed to be a psychic. That just irritated me.
Yeah, because the first episode she wraps that thing around the person's neck, and you're like, well, there's something more to it than that.
Yeah, and this is why, being starved for good vampire entertainment, I latched on to this movie, and I still watch it a couple times a year. It's just great.
And then what I thought was interesting too is, I guess talking about cool vampire stuff, when at the end when Hartnett loads himself up with the vampire blood, he talked to a friend he had a friend who was a former addict, and his friend was so strung out one time he injected bleach into his body.
Jesus.
And he said that it paralyzed him. So when you watch this and he puts the blood into himself, he just mimicked that. His body just freezes up. And then I like his brother saying no one's it's kind of interesting how his brother stepped up, chopped the head off that girl, and then he at the end said no one's touching him. No one's doing this. Because they knew from that one guy that you could be transformed and still be able to fight. So I thought that was a pretty cool brother started stepping up, I guess. He kind of started...
Chekhov's gun.
Yeah, he kind of learned from that what they said earlier. And I don't know, I dig it, man. I dig this movie. So any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Man, listen. If you go to Alaska, make sure you get on that plane before the damn sun goes down.
And if not, hang with me.
Hang with Mark Hoffmeyer. Exactly. Hey, this town's going to be in darkness for 30 days of night. Question, how many games of Risk can I win?
Watch this combo.
Holy cow, I rolled a 12, and yet I was still unable to keep Tunisia. Bummer.
The sun comes up, and there's just a bunch of bruised vampires walking around the streets. They get I didn't want to kill any of them.
No. The vampires were going to kill me, but then I was like, I got rum. I got raw hamburger. And then they were like, cool.
I learned so much. They've been around since 4000 BC. That's the earliest. No, all right, cool. This was fun, man. Thank you for joining me.
No problem, man.
All right. So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, for Norbert Morvan, this is Movies, Films, and Flicks. We'll see you next week.
As they say in Vampire,
Hamburger.